Welcome into the PHNX Suns post-game show brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's #1 sportsbook app. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a 5-star review. I'm Lindsey Smith. That's Saul Bookman. That's Espo. Gerald Bourguet will be joining us here shortly. Listen, I know we normally start these shows with our 3 points, but we're going to throw that out the window for tonight. We're going to start this one by yelling about Pat Bev.
The Los Angeles Lakers are the biggest frauds in the NBA, and Pat Bev's the biggest clown in the NBA. Suck it, LeBron. Suck it, AD. Suck it, Jenny Boss.
Listen, I know in the pregame show we talked about probably like the likelihood of seeing shenanigans from Pat Bev was pretty high, right? By the time the shenanigans happened, I really thought we were in the clear. I was like, okay, I kind of forgot Pat Bev was even on the Lakers tonight. To be completely honest with you, I didn't think we were going to get anything like this. And then all of a sudden, it went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Because that's what Pat Bev does. He's just the ultimate fucking troll. And honestly, he's a big ass hoe.
Yeah.
Like just straight up, just the softest motherfucker in the NBA. He has, like, and even Devin said it after the game, like, stop pushing dudes in the back. That's what they would say is a bitch move. That's a bitch move. Like, you can't do that. Like, man up. And if you want to fight, let's fight. But don't be pushing dudes in the back. That's like some silly playground bullshit. Oh my God, I hate Pat Bev so damn much.
Yeah, he said push him in the chest. Like, if you're gonna start something like that, at least do it with a player who sees you coming. Like if it's 1v1, that's fine. But don't cheap shot him.
Yeah, you know why he doesn't do that? He'd get his ass beat if he did that. Like, this is the second time we've seen this exact move against the Phoenix Suns. Straight in the freaking back by Pat Bev when his team had absolutely no chance to win a game against the Suns. And tonight, non-factor across the board for Pat Bev, except for this push in the back to Deandre Ayton. He could have not only hurt DA, but he could have hurt his own teammate, Austin Reeves, who was right under Deandre Ayton when he shoved him.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I think the biggest thing about Pat Bev is that this is now a theme, right? He's got a track record of this kind of stuff. And it's getting to the point where I understand that he's probably towards the end of his career, but at what point in time does the NBA put their foot down and say, this is one too many times, so we've had to have this conversation with you? The punishment is now much, much more severe. Because it's exactly like you said, like the type of things and actions that he's showing, especially the ones with the Suns, like are legitimate situations where you could seriously injure somebody.
Yeah, I listen. I just, again, there's no room for it in the NBA. If you don't want shit to escalate to another level like it has done in other seasons, and I would just basically mainly say decades, you can't have dudes like Pat Bev flying around unchecked. Like, that just can't happen. And honestly, I'm not going to go negative, but this is the second time this has happened. The first time I understood because it was the playoffs, and you don't want somebody in an elimination game or in a clinching game to miss the finals. Totally get that. Somebody needs to clock his ass. Yeah. Like somebody, just like in baseball, when you throw at somebody's head, guess what? There's retaliation. Somebody needs to check this dude. It's got to be one of these Suns. Otherwise, they're always going to be viewed as soft or kind of punks. Like, you got to back up and knock this dude on his ass, like hard.
The guy that should have done it was DA in the situation. Because if you look at the clip, most of the Suns have their back to what happens. They turn around after it's happened, and they don't know. But by the time
really
DA
would have gotten up, there's like 18,000 people in front of him, so it's hard for him to do that. Like,
well, I'm just saying, I'm not even the only one that really knew what went on.
Sure, and I'm not even saying that it needs to happen. It needed to happen tonight. I'm saying like next time, like when this dude goes up or when this dude's like not looking, just right in his fucking back. Put me on a fucking 10-day. I'll do it. I don't give a shit.
Well, come on, Wainwright's the guy that's built for this.
Josh Okogie could pull it off. I know Josh has some sass in him.
I think you do it at the opening tip next game. You just somebody lines up behind him and just fucking pushes him the second that the ball goes up, and just be like, this is our house. Don't screw with us, you know?
Honestly, like, as much as I want to, like, I'm on board with you guys here, I don't think that it's fair to even put that on the Suns. Like, we know the rules of this game. And yes, things get a little bit out of hand. Yes, we want people to be aggressive and get a little mean sometimes when they're playing the game of basketball. But within the realm of basketball actions, this is just outrageous. And I don't think it needs to be on a Suns player or any player around the league. I honestly think the league needs to step in and say, this is not acceptable anymore. This is the last strike. You're suspended, you're fined, and then next time, you're done.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing that if it happened in the 80s, Pat Bev wouldn't remember what zip code he's in right now.
Oh, yeah.
That would have been an all-out brawl if that had happened in the 80s. And I get that it shouldn't be on the Suns, but somebody needs to Raja Bellum.
This isn't the 80s anymore, though.
No, but
that's not the agreement that all the players and the league have come to anymore. It's just not.
I wouldn't mind a turn back the clock night the next time the Lakers are here.
Throwback night.
Let's just throw back to the 80s.
I don't know. We'll see what all comes from this, but you're absolutely right, Saul. D-Book said it best after the game. Stop pushing guys in the back. Push them in their chest. Like, if you're going to do something like that, at least do it to where a guy knows that it's coming and stop pushing people in the back. Because that's just outrageous.
That on a shirt. Push me in the chest.
Yeah, it's like Charlie, the late great Charlie Murphy said, like, hey, if you slap somebody, hey, guess what? Hey, somebody's got to go. Somebody's got to go. And this dude pushed two guys in the back. Hey, gone. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm not happy about this. Pat Bev's a hoe. Cut it out, okay, kid? Cut it out. Not cool. All right. Now that we've got that out of the way, let's get into tonight's game. The Phoenix Suns defeat the Los Angeles Lakers 115-105. Let's start now with our 3 points. Saul, you want to start us?
Yeah, let's go. Let's run that clip. And I need that music, baby. Let's go. Tonight, my number is 24. That's the amount of points between Damian Lee and Duane Washington. I thought that they did a nice job off the bench, kind of stabilizing the Suns. They hit four. They were 4 for 10 combined from three. Duane Washington, he's a bucket. He's just a certified bucket. He needs more time. Keep running that music there, Emma. Let's go. Let's keep that music flowing all the way through this thing, baby. Let's go. I really like their energy and what they brought to the table. And you can even throw in a nice little 6-piece from Ish Wainwright if you really want to and make it 30.
Am I supposed to be able to remember a number? Because right now all I see is red after thinking about Pat Beverly. But actually, 16-4 is my number tonight. 16 made 3-pointers from the Suns, 4 from the Lakers. That's your difference in the game. Free throw discrepancy doesn't matter at that point because math wins out, as we know.
Mine is 25 points. That's what we got from Mikal Bridges tonight. I feel like he had himself another one of those semi-quiet games. And I'm liking that we're seeing this more consistently from Mikal. It's not super consistent just yet, but more consistently, and I'll take that as a W. Well, we're going to drop a poll in the chat real quick. We want to know what you guys think. Our ideas for king of the game. We've got Mikal Bridges, we've got Duane Washington Jr., and we got Devin Booker. We're going to put that poll in the chat. I want you guys to vote on that. Let us know what you think, and then we'll get back into that here in just a little bit.
Or you could even put me as the DraftKings king of the game because I got the point spread Exactly right.
Heyo.
Nobody wants that, Saul.
The people want
You
it.
guys want to talk about Mikal Bridges?
Let's do it.
Let's talk about Mikal Bridges first. So Mikal Bridges, again, I feel like it was, I don't know, it wasn't overly flashy, but every time I looked up, it was like another Mikal Bridges 3, another Mikal Bridges 3. Like I said, he finished with 25 points. He was 7 of 5 from deep tonight, 10 of 17 from the field. Are you guys feeling like, okay, is it fair to ask that fair to say Mikal Bridges is officially the second option on this team?
No, I believe so.
I know we were talking about who that would be this year. Is it fair to say it's Mikal now?
I honestly, I believe so. I mean, like, listen, the thing we asked for at the beginning of the season was DA and Mikal to step up, especially offensively, and really command the ball and do the things that we believe will take them to another level in terms of an NBA championship. Well, Mikal Bridges is attempting to do that, especially the last several games. He's played very, very nicely on the offensive side. He's been assertive. He's taken some shots that in the past I would have been like, "What are you doing?" But those shots are going in right now. I think he's playing at a very high level, which is fantastic, and I hope that continues. But yeah, I would, without a doubt, you don't even have to hesitate right now. It is absolutely Mikal Bridges as the second option, and it should be.
I don't think they have a second option right now.
No?
I think they got Devin Booker, and they've got 2 third options in Mikal and DA. I mean, Mikal, 25 tonight, but 13-13 previous nights, 23, 15-8. Like, it's all over the place. I need consistency if you're going to be my number 2 guy, and I'm not getting it yet from Mikal. I love what we're seeing. We're seeing flashes, but I'm not willing to say definitively that he is the number 2 guy on this team yet. I don't think anybody has proven that they are, even in Chris Paul's absence.
You don't think that he deserves that kind of attention or that kind of praise based on just if you just compare him and DA? Because DA hasn't done anything.
But that's like saying I got 2 bad options, so I got to pick one now. I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
I'm not grading on a curve. Like, the Suns don't have a second option is my thing right now. They don't have a consistent second option. They've got Mikal, who's trying to figure it out, find consistency, but still isn't there. I need it night in, night out if you're my second guy. If you're Devin Booker's Robin, you can't not show up offensively every third game.
I mean, I get what you're saying. I get that. But out of the options we have currently available to us, I would say he has to kind of be that second option. But I do agree by default. Yes, I do agree, though.
I wouldn't say by default. I would say by effort. I would say that. At least I see somebody who wants to be the second option out there.
If Mikal Bridges doesn't find consistency offensively and he's the number 2 guy all year, this team ain't getting where they want to go.
I get that, but the bigger picture is that I think Mikal is closer to finding that than not. And I think he's closer to finding that consistency than anybody else on this team who could be the number 2 guy.
By default, right now,
At least
he's the
we're
number 2
seeing
guy.
the growth from Mikal. We're seeing the effort from Mikal. He wants to be that number 2 guy. Is it going to take some time? Maybe. But at least we know, like, we can see it with our own eyes that he wants to be that guy.
He's the closest person on this roster right now to being number 2. Especially with what little we saw from Chris Paul early in the year.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got our poll in. So out of the votes that we have so far, we've got 22% for Devin Booker, 54% for Mikal Bridges, and 24% for Duane Washington Jr. I'm glad you guys all voted for Mikal Bridges, because so did I. And I went ahead and called the audible and named Mikal Bridges our DraftKings King of the Game. I'm really happy for Mikal Bridges. Again, he finished with 25 points. He had 6 rebounds, 5 of 7 from deep, and 10 of 17 from the field. Congratulations to Mikal Bridges on being the DraftKings King of the Game. I feel like we've gotten a lot more Mikal Bridges King of the Games early on this season than we did last year.
Yeah, and I think part of it is because we put the Booker rule in place
That's
much
fair.
earlier this year than we did last year. But Mikal's deserved it. I mean, as inconsistent as he's been at times, he has had those big games. 31 earlier in the year, 23 spot, 25 tonight. There are those flashes where he is the top dog, at least, outside of Devin Booker so far this year, which wasn't necessarily the case at the beginning of last year.
Yes.
Also, again, I understand what Espo's saying in terms of the consistency, but it's Mikal is, again, the way he's going about doing this makes me feel a little bit more optimistic in terms of his growth on the offensive side, and really his want or desire to be a more reliable piece of this puzzle. And I'm not saying DA doesn't. It's just DA is going about this a different way right now. And obviously, even when you look in the chat, it's like half the chat is like, DA was fantastic. Look at his plus minus, and he had 15 boards and all this other stuff. And then there's another half that's like, he needs to do more, and he's not doing everything. He looks like he doesn't really have any interest in being out there. And it's all over the place for DA right now. And I think that this game is kind of a microcosm of that. In the first half, he only had a couple points, and it just looked like he was kind of going through the motions. And in the second half, he picked it up, and he finishes with 14 and 15. So
a lot of that came in, and this isn't slanderous, but a lot of it came in that garbage time towards the end of the game. So I give him his props for the 15 boards, but he was also the guy that was, primary around freaking Anthony Davis tonight, who dropped 37 and had 21 boards. So you got to take that into account too. I've saw people, some of the Gerthlings saying, "Oh, he's played great defense tonight." When your main assignment drops 37 and 21, I don't know. I am still skeptical of what I've seen, and it felt like sleepwalking for 3 quarters in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So we did get a super chat from Michael. Thank you for your super chat, Michael. And it had to do with this conversation. He said, "We have a max player who has no desire to score whatsoever. He's playing like he knows a trade's happening." Do you guys get the feeling that, I've seen a lot of people talking about, does DA want to be here? Is DA happy here? No, that was a huge storyline at the start of the season. Do you have any gut feelings or vibes that maybe he just isn't?
I honestly, I've been watching DA all season. I can't tell. I can't tell if it's just, I could see how maybe he feels like we've gone back to last year where he's not a focal point down low on the block like he was at the beginning of the season. I can see, a little being disgruntled about the fact that he did not end up being able to be traded or be allowed to sign with Indiana. But I also understand that, DA has shown that he is a professional in the past. And, last year when he was going through the contract stuff, he didn't let it bother him. And I don't know. DA is such an odd cat to try and pinpoint because even when he came off the sideline one time tonight, Monty said something to him and DA just kind of laughed. And I think Monty kind of had a smirk on his face too. I couldn't tell if they had a funny moment or what. Again, DA's probably one of the most impossible guys to figure out right now because of his Bahamian kind of upbringing and attitude, and he's just kind of letting things kind of roll off, which I think he does a good job of. Yeah. But it also can reflect in people's perception of him on the court in terms of how he goes about doing things. From day one, everybody's like, he needs to slam the ball more. He needs to slam the ball more. Well, that's not all it's all about. There's a lot of other things that go into this. So it's a complicated thing for DA.
Has DA changed, or has our perspective on DA changed because of the large contract and now wanting that potential to be reality, for it to be something more? Because I feel like, at least in these two seats, it's our perception that's changed more than DA has changed.
You could say that it's been a little bit of both, because his stats are down a little bit from last season. Yeah. But I do think a lot of it is the perception. I mean, I honestly don't think that unless DA goes and plays for another team or just completely balls out of his mind here in Phoenix, he's ever going to lose you're the number one pick. You're a max player. Yeah. You should be playing like X, Y, and Z. Yeah. We're never not going to do that as a collective.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, it's tough because DA is such a valuable player. and he can be so incredibly good on this team and for this team that it's such a hard spot to be in, because you're like, you look at him and you're like, man, you can be that guy.
Yeah.
But then you don't see it that often.
Are either of you first children in your family?
I am.
No.
Okay. As a first child, there's a lot of expectation, a lot of pressure, a lot of, I don't know that I can live up to this, right? I feel like the number one pick is very much like that. That there's this level that you're expected to reach. You're supposed to be the example of what everything should be, and you don't live up to it just because it is built up so much. And I think that gets in DA's head.
Yeah. So there's a question going on in the chat right now by several people, one of them being your wife, saying, do we get to the finals without DA? And my question is a resounding no. We don't get to the finals without DA.
2
However,
years ago?
yeah, 2 years ago. But this isn't that year. You know what I mean? Like that. We're talking about this year, and right now, no, we don't get to the finals the way DA is playing. No, there's not a chance. There's no chance. You can't look at the Suns right now. The only thing that's keeping the Suns in the conversation for a championship at the moment, with all the injuries, right? Like, let's just say this playoff started today, is the fact that the rest of the league is kind of mid too. You know what I mean? Like, everybody's kind of playing at a kind of an uneven level, if you will, compared to the past. But DA's level of play, it has not shown you that he's a key cog or a reliable piece enough to get you over that hump if you're playing against a superstar team, like you might see in the West, like you might see against the Nuggets or the Bucks or whatever. So it's very complicated.
What I need to go do is go back and look at the beginning of the season, that finals year, because I feel like Deandre Ayton didn't really turn it on until January, February that year, and then hit his stride in the playoffs. So maybe we're being harsh critics now, and there's still a chance that we see that DA again. Where we're sitting right now, though, I don't know.
I also
it doesn't
think
feel the same.
Chris Paul is also really valuable for DA, so that could be a factor in this whole situation. But I mean, we've talked about it a whole lot. We'll continue to talk about it, but I think we should put a pin in it for tonight. But
real quick is like, listen, there's a difference between DA of the past and DA right now. Okay. And I'm not saying that DA might not show up in the playoffs. He did against the Pelicans. But he wasn't really too much of a factor against the Mavericks. You know what I mean? So if you're going to praise them for one series, you also got to, question what was going on in the other series. And that's why, that's why people are kind of iffy on where we're going with him. Like, listen, we all hope for the best. We all want him to do well. We all want him to succeed, because that means that the Suns are going to succeed. But it's a complicated situation right now with DA for a variety of different reasons, which nobody can really pinpoint straight. And listen, I get he was a plus 16 tonight. Trust me, I get that. But plus minus is probably one of the most overrated fucking stats in the NBA.
Okay. I looked it up real quick here. The first 17 games of that NBA Finals season, he averaged 14.2 points. He had games of 4 points, 9 points, 5 points. Like, again, not great offensively. The difference was he was averaging 12.3 rebounds
which
that
does have
year.
gone down for the most part.
But to me, that says let's not fully say he's cooked.
No panic button just yet.
No. There's still that he could hit that point where offense starts rolling, like we saw that finals year, and maybe things will look better. But inconsistent has been his hallmark. So
I want DA to succeed.
Same.
We all want DA to succeed. It's frustrating when you see something like what you saw in the playoffs 2 years ago and not be able to get at least 80% of that kind of effort on a night to night basis during the regular season. Like, I shouldn't have to wait until the playoffs to finally see what DA is all about. Like, we should get that more. We should get his playoff performance. That playoff performance should be the new floor 2 years later. It should be. I mean, you're seeing a guy who's always fucking hurt on the other side drop 37 and 21. Like, we can't get 20-10 on a night-to-night basis. Like, that's my frustration with him.
And I think coming into the season, that was everyone's expectation. Like 20-10 should be a normal night for DA.
And not being afraid of contact. That's what it has to come down to eventually. By the way, we've got almost 300 people watching live right now.
Welcome, everyone.
We only have 40 likes. Get that likes up to 100. Maybe I'll give you another shout out today because there is something to celebrate.
Okay.
We've been harsh, okay? We've had some anger because of one Pat Bev and a little bit with DA. This team is in first place in the Western Conference right now.
It is.
So keep that in perspective.
Okay. Well, there you go. You heard
There's
the
levels
man.
to
Get
this.
those likes up. While we wait for those likes to just constantly be rolling in, let me tell you about our friends over at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Thanksgiving is a great time to get on the DraftKings Sportsbook app because you're already around your family, right? So you can make your bet to win your money on the DraftKings Sportsbook app. Then you can make a side bet with your favorite cousin or your favorite aunt or your favorite uncle, and you can put you up the ante, right? Maybe you get extra leftovers. Maybe you get to take the pie home at the end of the night. Maybe you get to pie somebody in the face full of whipped cream. I don't know, whatever your thing is.
I've got the flip side. If you don't want to deal with your family, you can just spend your time staring at the DraftKings Sportsbook app, making some wagers, and completely ignore them as well.
I mean, that's very true. You could definitely take that route. But right now, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app using the promo code PHNX, and you can place a $5 bet on any NFL team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with that code PHNX. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. Also, shout out to Saul, who hit the nail on the head. You called it. You had Suns by 10 tonight, and it was exactly that. And then you also took DA's over on the rebounds, and that hit too.
Yeah, I'm a genius. We can go ahead and say it.
Okay. Let's pump the brakes.
2 for 2
there.
tonight.
But you were 2 for 2
Saul,
tonight, so I'll give you that.
You were a genius this evening.
Forever and
you know
always.
what a genius idea is, a genius plan?
To listen to Saul and place your bets accordingly.
Yes, that. But also Friday and Saturday to come hang out at Four Peaks for some U.S. and Mexico World Cup match watch parties. So we had 2 watch parties already this week, Monday and today, and both of them looked like they were the most fun watch parties in this entire city. I don't know if you guys all saw it on our social media, Instagram at PHNX Sports. It was so much fun watching those videos. Like, I got hype from watching the videos. I couldn't even imagine what it was like there.
You know what's better than watching the videos?
Being there.
There you go.
That's
I was
what
there
I was
today.
saying.
We actually had rising coach Juan Guetta in there celebrating and having a good time with the people. It was fantastic. The environment is unlike anything else for the World Cup. The U.S. game yesterday, the Mexico game today, phenomenal. We'll be there again Friday for the U.S. versus England match, and then again on Saturday for an epic Mexico versus Argentina. Back-to-back games that are just epically important to both countries. It's going to be freaking awesome. We already have over 200 RSVPs for each event. As of right now, it's going to be a packed house. You got to come early. You got to come ready. You got to wear that red, white, and blue or that green, red, and white and be ready to go because it's insane.
Are we going to get another kegs and crepes, beers and breakfast? Is there another early morning one like today?
They're all roughly around 11 a.m. is when the festivities start.
Yeah.
It's free, so register right now. The link is in the description of the show. It's also in the chat. And as a reminder, beer specials. So what more can you ask for? All right, let's keep going down our 3 points. Saul, you brought up Damian Lee and D. Wash. You also threw in Ish Wainwright in there. Mm-hmm. How are you feeling about these guys tonight?
Listen, I love Duane Washington, but it feels like Monty does this to me every year. When I fall in love with a player, he decides he wants to bench him.
Jock. Now Duane Washington, I'm starting to feel I'm feeling the wash.
You nervous?
Like, yeah, I'm ready to see this guy play a few more minutes. And then I have a feeling that when Landry Shamet comes back, all those good vibes are going to be gone and go right back to the bench. So I do like Duane Washington's shooting. He's a little sloppy with the ball, yes. Sometimes his playmaking abilities, it's a little whatever. But
Give him time.
but yeah,
let him work through it.
He needs to get into that groove. He's been fantastic. And then obviously we know about Damian Lee, even though my man Gerald Bourguet completely jinxed him by talking about his fourth quarter shooting percentage from 3, and then he
didn't hit one tonight.
Not in the fourth quarter. He was 3 of 5 from deep, but he didn't have one in the fourth quarter. And I 100% with you blame Gerald.
So we can blame Gerald.
Yeah. So everyone yell at him when he gets here, okay?
And then you know what Ish is going to bring to the table. Again, I really wish Ish would have just linebackered Pat Bev's ass all the way to the freaking 200 level at footprint. But it is what it is. And he's a feel good guy out there on the floor. He can hit the perimeter shot. He plays tough. I mean, it was great to see.
I give Ish a lot of credit too, because the other night he was way off coming back that first time getting minutes, and that could shake a guy's confidence. It doesn't get to play a lot, but he came out tonight and shot well. So kudos to him doing the little things. I like seeing a guy that works his ass off on a two-way getting some of those minutes. So
I just really like these guys. Like, I feel like they're just so easy to root for.
Yeah.
And Damian Lee, I don't think any of us can honestly say we expected this from him. His level of play, the attitude and energy he brings to this team, that was a great sneaky signing by James Jones this offseason.
I didn't know what to expect with Damian Lee. I thought, we were just getting a guy that would be able to back up some people, but you don't want to really expect too much. And then game 1, he came out and proved he was a lot more than that, and he hasn't looked back since. He was a fantastic ad, and so was Jock, and so was Duane Washington. Yeah. Listen, Duane Washington's on a 2-way contract.
Okay, Duane Washington, low key, might have potential to be what the Suns hoped Landry Shamet would be.
Yeah. 1,000,000%.
I think with more attitude, what I think they need is
a little bit more edge,
a little less defense.
Yeah,
but shooting wise, for sure.
Yeah, and Damian Lee is an interesting case because he was in the shadow of Steph, his brother-in-law, and it's easy for people to assume, he's only here because he's this guy's brother-in-law. Now he gets to be his own man here, and he's shown he can shoot when it counts. He's got that attitude. He can give you a jolt off the bench. I like it, and I give credit to James Jones because a lot of us were skeptical of that move. Like, oh great, wow, you got a 15th guy off the champions. Good work, but he's definitely shown that grit that you need on your bench to come in and help you win some games.
So I want to talk a little bit about Jock Landale because we've seen a lot of people in the chat asking about it. Man Rock said there must be a deeper issue with Jock. Where's the insider scoop? Bench Monty. I don't have the insider scoop. Hopefully Gerald will have a little bit more insight for us. Of course, on Sunday, Monty basically spoke to Bismack's physicality, not just his size, but more so the physicality that Bismack brings that maybe Jock doesn't have as much as Biz does. Tonight, I don't know what the answer is going to be, if it's the same idea, or maybe he just thinks that Bismack is bringing something to the table that Jock isn't in practice right now.
Well, look, I mean, obviously Bismack stopped Anthony Davis tonight, so that's exactly why you played him, and there's no need to question it.
I think that's the thing that's a little bit confusing to me is nobody was able to stop AD in a way that was like worthwhile. So why not give Jock a chance?
Yeah, and that's not a knock on Bismack. I like Bismack as well, but I don't get with Monty's rotation sometimes. Guys will play for multiple games, feel like a big part of it, and then completely drop out of a rotation. And we saw some weird lineups tonight.
Yeah.
You saw Duane Washington, Ish, Damian Lee, I'm spacing on Bismack, and like Booker or Mikal. Like, that's a very bizarre lineup. And I get it, you're shorthanded, but just weird rotation still. Monty is obviously trying to figure out who will stay in the rotation when we get those minutes kind of tightened up in January.
For Monty, guys that stick in that second unit are the guys that are consistent. And I think Jock from time to time has been a little inconsistent. And Biz is a veteran. He's been in the league for years. So I think there's a little bit more trust that Monty has with Biz. He at some point he will develop that with Jock. But I'll be honest with you. The number one thing Jock has got to start doing, he's got to hit that outside shot. Yeah. He has been struggling big time with that outside shot. And when you're not hitting that outside shot, you're not as much of a threat from the perimeter as you once were. So then your value starts to decrease. Mm-hmm. And even though I like what he does down low, like, again, he needs to be a little bit more consistent from the perimeter. And he's a little slow of foot when you're having to guard athletic, bigger men. And so, the last game, this game, I think those are two instances where that was kind of an issue. Hopefully in the next game, it won't be.
I will say this. There's no questioning his hustle. He's a guy that runs back up the court, fills that lane, and gets easy buckets that way, which we didn't see at times tonight. Mm-hmm. So I would have loved to have at least seen if in a 3, 4, 5 minute stretch, you could have gotten some easy buckets out of him.
Espo, your point tonight was the 3-point shooting.
Yeah.
How you feeling about the guys from deep?
Well, they shot 47%, which is good. I mean, the league average is 36% this year, so they're 11% above that. They shot 34 of them, which is pretty high. But when you compare it to the Lakers going 4 of 22, 18%, I mean, that's the difference here. And it can overcome the fact that the free throw discrepancy was 35-5 mm-hmm. in favor of the Lakers tonight. So the fact that the Lakers got to the line kept this game close, but what busted it open, got it back to double digits, was the Suns' ability from behind the arc. And like we talked about, it's math, and that's a big reason why the Suns won tonight.
I love math.
I did not when I was in school, but I think I'd say it now. So
we do have a few super chats. Taboos Tidbits, thank you for your super chat. Said Lakers shot 35 free throws and Suns shot 5. That's crazy. You are absolutely right. That is crazy.
Icon even says the same thing too in that super chat.
Icon with another super chat. Thank you for that one. Said 1, Reggie Miller is the worst. 2, 35-5 free throws. Free throws. That's awesome. And 3, that was the weakest flagrant I've ever seen. I can't read tonight, y'all. The F's are getting me. Oh. Words with F's.
First off, I got a word with an F for Reggie Miller. You can figure out which one because he was defending Pat Bev. So
all I'm going to say on that is if there is anybody out there, and I'm looking at some of these media companies around here talking about Pat Bev being an enforcer or Pat Bev bodying somebody, if you think that was a positive, you have something wrong in your brain.
Just go listen to Book's quote. You'll know exactly why it wasn't those things.
But the free throws, I mean, it was, again, you can say partially on the officiating, you could say partially on the Suns. I honestly, like, more that we've talked about it and had these discussions, I just don't think that this team is built to get to the line.
I just don't think that this, listen, okay, 35-5 seems like a lot. But again, like, I'm right there with you, Lindsey. Like, you got to engage in contact a little bit more than you are. And, the guys that can really drive home that point are guys like DA down low. You know what I mean? Like, you see AD, like, he's trying to draw a foul just about every single time he shoots or tries to drive. Like, that's what he does. Like, you got to be more aggressive. And I think the Suns do a great job of getting their shots off, but not seeking contact as much.
Yeah.
Which is, listen, they make the shots and they keep the game flow going. So to me, I don't really care about the free throw discrepancy unless it's just so egregious that I'm looking at these guys getting mugged every single time down the court and nothing's being blown. The 35-5 thing doesn't really matter to me as long as it's consistent. So they won the game. They won easily and they made their shots and they got good shots at the basket. And sometimes you don't get the calls.
Look, I agree in a game where you're hitting your other shots, 35-5 doesn't matter. But at some point and multiple times this season, that's going to become the difference in games. That you're giving up potentially 30 points to your opposition at the free throw line. I want the Suns listening to that song, Let the Bodies Hit the Floor, before every game and start putting some bodies into other guys and creating that contact. They need to force that and force the issue, because at some point that will cost them. And you know when that usually does? The freaking playoffs is when free throws and slowing the game down becomes a huge thing. And if they're having 30 free throw discrepancies in the playoffs, they're done.
Listen, I want to sit here and be like, it's all the refs. It's all the refs all the fucking time. But this has been the case for now going on 3 years.
Fair.
Like they just do not go to the free throw line very often. And that's, listen, that's as much on the players and their physicality as it is anything else. It's not always the refs. You got 85, 90 different referees in the league, and they've all had turns at the Suns. They can't all be wrong.
I don't know, man. Andrew thinks otherwise. Andrew, thank you for your super chat. Said refs didn't want Suns to win. It's obvious. So
okay. The other night, I was all in on the refs. There were a lot of bad calls. Tonight wasn't that night.
Sometimes you can blame the officials.
Yes, sometimes for sure.
Tonight wasn't that night, though. Tonight was the Suns not forcing the issue in a lot of ways.
I will say, though, while yes, you guys are absolutely correct. I'm in 100% agreement with you. I will say, though, you also have to take into account that superstars like AD, like Giannis, like LeBron, they're going to get way more calls than anybody else in the league.
Devin Booker's a superstar now.
But Devin's not getting those calls just yet at that level. He's not.
That's the refs.
Yes. So Gerald is on his way, should be here in just a few minutes. Emma, you want to let me know how we feeling on that?
Yes, ma'am. I just need Gerald to turn
you'll
his
know
camera
when
on.
he's here.
Okay, so while we wait for Gerald to turn on his camera, let me set you guys up with all the information you need for Black Friday, okay? So first and foremost, our friends at More Furniture, they set up our studios here at PHNX. They have really great furniture, super comfortable, super beautiful. They have a Black Friday sale going on right now where you can save up to 50% off at your local Arizona More Furniture showroom. So check out morefurniture.com to preview daily deals this whole week leading up to Black Friday.
I got a good Black Friday story. You want me to save it for Friday?
Save it for Friday.
It's
save
good.
it for
Remind
Friday.
me about it.
Okay, save it for Friday. So check them out if you are in the market for furniture. Now this one, obviously you guys need to listen with both ears on this one, okay? Up to 90% off everything at the PHNX locker on Black Friday. Let me repeat, up to 90% off everything. And when you spend $75, you also get a $15 gift card. So head on over to the PHNX locker, and the link's gonna be in our description. Of course, it's all on our social media pages and everything of that sort. Start adding things to your cart. Like, get ready for Black Friday now. This is a great way to check off so many people off of your Christmas list. It's like the easiest one-stop shopping for everybody on your list.
Screw other people. Buy it all for yourself. You know you want the gear.
I mean, that too.
Go in there and stock up your own closet.
All right, Emma, we go with Gerald now?
Yes, ma'am, we are. You ready for that intro?
Let's go.
We are ready
Let's
for the intro.
In the darkness, beyond the light, there shall only be one. Welcome to
Hi, Gerald.
The intimidating
man.
camera angle today.
Oh, it's the toe tree angle again. Yeah.
We're having some technical difficulties with the tripod, but it's all good.
Hey, at least you're here. We appreciate the effort, Gerald.
Don't lie. You were inspired by Campaign when we talked to him, huh?
I'm just trying to match the energy of that intro. I feel like I just need to be looking down at something after that.
Gerald's like, I'm a giant and y'all are the peasants. So.
I must look down on you.
You will kneel before Gerth.
All right, Gerald. So, of course, the first thing we got to
Toe
talk
tree
to you
vision.
about is Pat Bev and the shenanigans towards the end of the game. I know that was talked about between Monty and the players. What did they have to say?
Yeah, so I asked Monty about it because obviously this is the second time a Suns player has been shoved or bumped in the back by Pat Bev, and he said the only word that he can think of to talk about it is silly. He said he thinks the league needs to take a serious look at this because of the pattern there, because it keeps happening to the Suns, and because Beverly continues to do this. He was saying kind of the same thing that Devin Booker was saying, like tensions are obviously going to flare. There's going to be trash talk in a game like this, but he would prefer it be something where you say it to a player's face or get up in their chest like that instead of just shoving a guy from behind where he could get hurt and where he doesn't see it coming. Obviously he played in the 90s, so he was saying, this doesn't compare to some of the things that he's seen, obviously. But he said it's about time the league takes a more serious look at this type of thing. Devin Booker was saying the same thing in his postgame interview on TNT, and then he reiterated it to me as well. Like, I would have a lot more respect for Patrick Beverly if he shoved him in the chest instead of waiting for his back to be turned. And DA was pretty composed in the locker room. Obviously in a situation like that, when you get shoved and you don't know what happened, it'd be easy to get up and be inflamed. And he kind of, he was obviously pissed when he got up off the ground, but he was saying that his teammates being right there for him and kind of ushering him back to the bench helped him keep his composure. He said he's seen moments like this hundreds of times. CP was in a moment like that, obviously, and he's learned a lot from that because that's what Monty has kind of instilled in them. He said it bluntly, like, we've been embarrassed the last 2 years, despite playing some of our best basketball over those 2 years. We have a much bigger long-term focus, so I'm not trying to do anything that's going to cost my team or cost me, being on the court for my team for a couple of games. So kind of a very mature approach from DA, especially after getting shoved in the back like that. He's very much in on the team aspect, and I know we've talked about his season and it being kind of disappointing, but a real smart move there on his part not to escalate it further.
Who's it gonna be, Gerald? Who's gonna be the one to take out Pat Bev next time these dudes square off? Who would your money be on?
Low key, it might be on Devin Booker. I don't think he's going to do anything to actually take him out, but I think Book, we've seen him commit some frustration fouls in the past. We've seen him shit talk and escalate things. We even saw it tonight a little bit. He thought he had that block on Austin Reeves, which is kind of what set that whole incident off. He was kind of staring him down, and then DA came over and did the same. So it wouldn't surprise me if, they put Bev on Devin Booker next meeting and he hits a shot over him and has a lot to say about it afterward.
My money's on Chris Paul. I do love that Monty used the word silly in description of it when it was horse shit, but that's all right. What else did you hear out there in terms of the game tonight? Did you get any insight into Monty's rotations? They seemed interesting at times. And again, we didn't see Jock tonight.
Right. There was no comment on Jock. We'll probably maybe talk to him about it at practice tomorrow. Last game he offered up that it was a rotation thing. It was a matchup thing. They wanted Biz's, physicality against a very big front court. And that could be the case again tonight. We don't know yet. But he did say last game it wasn't anything foundational. Tonight kind of contradicts that a little bit. So we'll follow up on that tomorrow. As far as Duane Washington Jr., it was because Cam Payne was in foul trouble, but he did a really nice job in that fourth quarter, getting them a couple of buckets after a little bit more of a rough stint in the first half. He kind of kept them level when the Lakers were threatening to close the gap there. He's a guy that can get a bucket. Monty was saying, I don't worry about him being able to put the basketball in the hole. Like, we have to talk to him about a couple other things, like defensively, playmaking here and there, but as far as being able to go out and score, they're very confident in his ability to do that still.
Liz, our Australian contingent is very strong here, Gerald. Mm-hmm. We need some reassurance on the fact that Jock Landale is going to see the court sometime soon. Do you feel like he's sliding down the depth chart, or is this just something where, these are the ebbs and flows of Montyisms as we go through the season?
I think it could be ebbs and flows, but it is something to definitely keep an eye on. It's not encouraging that he's missed the last two games or that he hasn't played the last two games. Definitely something to keep an eye on. And I don't think he was playing that bad. I think it was the Warriors game the last time that he played where he came in and gave them pretty good minutes off the bench in that limited stint. I think it was third quarter. But yeah, it is something to keep an eye on. I'm sorry I can't assure our Australian contingent that everything's going to be fine.
Some of your
Gerald, I need you to get answers. I need you to press Monty. Just don't let him go until he gives us a legitimate answer.
Or just check Jock into the game yourself next time you're there. Just go.
Okay.
Go. Some of your Gerthlings are suggesting that we get Grayson Allen to take care of the Pat Bev problem. But
I mean, listen, you wouldn't have a problem with Pat Bev anymore.
That's turning a negative into a positive. I think that's the best.
And
way
it's
to
one
describe
less
it.
person we got to worry about.
yeah.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
I'm here for it.
maybe you got to lean into it.
We're all in on the Grayson Allen train now. You're here to take out Pat Bev and hit threes, and you're all out of threes right now. Gerald, anything else that you heard out there in your talk with the team or Monty?
Not really. The biggest focus, obviously, was what happened near the end, and it's too bad because it was a decent game, especially in the third, fourth quarter when the Suns finally decided to turn it on. Monty was saying their defensive rotations and communication wasn't great in the first half. Their connectivity, which is something we've talked about, trying to find that consistency with the new starting lineup. But they did turn it around in the fourth quarter. I know a lot of people were down on DA's first half and first three quarters, but he came up in a big way in the fourth quarter, finished with a nice double-double. So it's one of those things where we need to let a full game develop before we judge. I know he was kind of inactive in that first half, but there is time to turn it around, and the Suns are still rolling despite missing two starters. So those are just my thoughts.
And you know what else, Gerald?
Sometimes 3 if you count the first half.
The Suns got a W, and I believe it is the 11th straight win over the Lakers. So
Yes.
Regular
Pat Bev
season.
may have shoved DA in the back, but we're the ones who
you know
are
what, you know what
holding
sign
the
language?
W's.
You know what sign language is for 11?
Is it really?
No.
I don't think that's
like,
true.
there's
No,
way,
that's not
right?
really sign language for 11, Lindsey. Oh my God.
You speak sign language. I was trying to believe you. I had trust in you.
Yes.
Then you're telling me
yes.
the truth.
Lindsey,
Yes.
you go do that to a deaf person and see how that works out.
When I told my dad my kids were 11 years old, I was like, Dad, they're 11 years old.
I thought I'm supposed to be the gullible one, Lindsey. What are you doing?
Oh,
Oh my goodness. Oh, I didn't think I was going to get Lindsey on that. I didn't even try.
so bad.
We should have just said yes and let her use it with somebody.
Oh
I
my
would use
God.
that? No. I was like, shoot.
Oh,
That was a good one, Saul.
oh, that was nice.
You know what it is? It's because it's 11:30 at night. I'm not on my A game, y'all.
Sure,
You got
that's what it is.
girthed is what people are saying.
I
You got
know.
girthed.
Listen, all I'm going to say is y'all are welcome because that was hilarious. Damn it. All right, Gerald.
Wow.
Thanks for stopping by.
Gerald, have a happy Thanksgiving. We appreciate all the work you're doing. Do you have another question?
Well, I was just going to say, Lindsey, do you know how many points Austin Reeves and Campaign had tonight?
11! That's the thing now. We gotta fucking do it. Anytime somebody gets a double single, we gotta throw up the double digits.
Hey, you know what Jock's number is?
11!
All right, guys, I really do have to go. My battery's only on 11%. So see you guys later.
Bye, Gerth.
See ya, Gerald. Oh, Lindsey. Oh, Lindsey.
God.
That's hilarious.
I'm literally crying.
Oh my gosh.
Wow, that was so perfect, you guys.
I didn't think that was even my intent. So that's you can't make
Oh
shit
my
up.
Maybe
God.
that's why Jock picked that number.
Maybe.
PHNX Suns, you just can't make this shit up. That's the phrase for the show now.
Yeah,
Espo-
you want to go watch TNT? They ain't giving you the bird. That's what we do on Thanksgiving week.
Oh my gosh, you want to tell us about the Underdog Fantasy app real quick?
Yeah, there's an app. It's called Underdog. Use that code PHNX. Bet $11. No, I'm just kidding. They've got a great deal right now. If you bet $1 on their pick'em game involving one Dak Prescott of the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving, and then you choose 4 other guys in the higher or lower, and you hit on that bet with $1, they're going to give you $100. It's a 100 times boost. Usually it's 20 time boost. When you have a five leg higher or lower in their pick'em, you're going to get a 100 time boost. So definitely go out there. It's just $1. Just go download the Underdog Fantasy Sports app. One of those days. Download the Underdog Fantasy app. Use that promo code PHNX. Put in $1 in the app, and you could win 100 just by picking 5 things right. You just got to go higher or lower. Easiest game you can play, and get $100 out of it. It's well worth it.
In addition to that, though, so this is like you just got to place $1 down, right? You just got to put $1 down.
Yep, $1.
You get 100 times. You could win $100. And on top of that, if you sign up with the code PHNX, Underdog will match your first deposit up to $100. So we're talking about potentially getting $200 in your first go on the Underdog Fantasy app. I'm just saying, it's something that you definitely want to do.
Lindsey, you know what time it is?
Is it 11?
You got to do it.
I don't want to do it.
Come on.
We missed 11-11.
Also, Josh Hunt, you almost got me. Buddy.
What did he say?
He said one of the guys. No, go back down. Oh, he said one of the guys in the chat is the type of guy who uses both feet for the pedals when driving.
Oh, no.
Josh has been going at this guy all night.
Oh, my God. You guys. Repix, the 614, and Josh have been going back and forth. It's been kind of funny to watch.
Nice. All right. Well, is there anything else from tonight's game? Just everyone stay tuned. We have a really special surprise for you to close the show. You don't want to miss it.
Not from tonight's game, but obviously where we have a nice little thing for everybody. Are we doing that now or no?
At the very, very end.
The campaign?
Oh, no. I forgot about that.
So we talked to Campaign yesterday.
We did.
And we asked him a whole bunch of cool things. And,
some of the questions you asked.
Yes, some of them you guys asked. Yeah, for sure. And we have a clip of one of those little pieces.
Really, man, locking into the film, really watching film more and kind of reading defenses more. C is really good at reading like defensive coverages, and since he's been out, he's really been talking to me about the low man, how to see the low man a little bit easier for the allows for DA or even for a corner 3. So just constantly locking in on the film part of my game, I think it's just been helping me a lot, and it'll help me for the long haul.
So if you want to see more of that interview, check it out tomorrow. It'll be on our YouTube. It'll also be on our audio podcast feeds. So please check it out.
3 p.m.
Yeah, it's awesome. He was great. He was funny. We had a great time with him. And then obviously we're leading into Thanksgiving, and I just want to say happy Thanksgiving to all of you and your families. I hope it's a nice and restful one, and you get all the nice food that you want to eat. And happy Thanksgiving to you guys. I'm definitely very thankful that you guys are here. It makes my job very, very fun, and it keeps me on my toes because I never know when somebody's going to throw up a double finger and just lose it.
Is that really the sign language for that? Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. I want to give thanks to the Gerthlings. They did what we asked, so they get what they
wow,
deserve
we had
here.
2 surprises or 2 exciting things at the end of the show. Or
yes.
3.
The Phoenix Suns.
Man. I thought you were going to do a new one.
Oh, you want a real one?
Nobody wants the Cookie Monster anymore.
You want a new voice? Or
I thought that's what you said. Or did you just say another one?
I said another one.
Okay.
I can do ASMR.
Do it for real.
The Phoenix Suns are the best team in the Western Conference. Suck it, Pat Bev. Suck it, Jazz. Suck it, Warriors. Suck it, Lakers.
Hey-oh. There you go. Thanks for getting us to the like mark to get that. What are we calling this, a battle cry?
We're calling it I don't know.
What do we need a
Espo loses his shit. I don't know.
I'm going to say a battle cry for tonight from Espo. Thank you guys for tuning in. Espo, I'm going to take us home tonight, okay?
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Okay.
So you can follow. We won't have a live show tomorrow, and we won't have a live show on Thursday. We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving, but like Saul said, we have the campaign interview ready to go for you guys tomorrow. Espo said 3 p.m. on YouTube. You can also find it wherever you listen to your podcast. Until we see you on Friday, have a happy Thanksgiving. You can follow me on Twitter at Lindsey Smith AZ. You can follow Saul at Saul_Bookman. You can follow Gerald at Gerald Bourguet. And of course, you can follow Espo at Espo. And remember,
this is the Lakers suck yesterday, they suck again today.
play it again.
PHNX. Hey yo, my lifestyle is retro. Tell the Phoenix Metro. Megas in control and he ain't never gonna let go. PHNX though. Lindsey, Gerald, Espo. Saul.